manager at ASRC for the External Affairs Department. I started there within the company about 11 years ago, and as my boss likes to joke, that means I was 12 when I started. I'm kidding, I'm older than that, I swear. So when I got invited to speak about rural opportunities, it was kind of very instant what topics came to mind, and many came to mind because really within our department, finding these rural opportunities and how we can facilitate those and be project champions of those is one of the major parts of my job and one of the things I love to do. So two main topics, as Isaac mentioned, that I want to talk about are broadband and opportunity zones. But to clarify, these two subjects are not my specialty stones, as Ross gave a beautiful analogy when we first got here together. And what a beautiful story and way to kind of set the tone for the day of this story that we all may have heard growing up. But once again, these aren't my specialities, but by no means is that's okay, because these are projects, these are ideas that I'm passionate about, that I believe in, and that I think can be a huge impact to rural areas. And I was really excited about your Oprah moment. I really thought, like, wow, are there really stones underneath every one of these chairs? And I got really excited about the idea, and I was like, shout out to Ross for the dedication. If he would have pulled something like that off, that would have been amazing. But still, yeah, there was. I did not get my stone, so if someone can give me one, I was really looking forward to having that. So, yeah, please. Wait till the end, at least. Moving forward, once again, the first one I wanted to speak about was broadband. And this map I took directly from the FCC website. Now, before, who here is kind of familiar with broadband, quintillion, kind of fiber optics cable? So, well, there's a company called Quintillion, and they lay down a subsea fiber optic cable within the North Slope of Alaska. And this map is still fairly recent, and really the light areas represent how many fixed residential providers there are within the state of Alaska. The lighter areas, are between like 0 to 2 providers. The darker shaded areas range between 4 and 6. Now, again, we're all from here, most of us. Some of us have roots both in rural and, urban Alaska. So this map, it makes sense. Oop, stupid head. So why is broadband important, and why is it something ASRC has invested in and is passionate about? Well, first and foremost, it connects rural communities, not just across Alaska, but across the world. It provides opportunities, it provides all of these doors to be opened that normally would be close to impossible to do so. So with that, we're focusing not just on the cost of broadband, on the cost to have internet in somewhere like Alaska, and especially in rural communities, but we're looking at the coverage. Because while we've made significant progress in broadband and our capabilities in the state of Alaska, there's still a little bit more to go, specifically one of our communities of Koktovik. There's some plans in the works about the middle mile, last mile projects, where this is one of the final communities in our region, in the Arctic Slope region, that currently isn't hooked up to anything and have very low capabilities, high cost, and there are USDA loans and funds and programs out there to kind of help fund these type of projects, and we're working with stakeholders to make sure the community and those stakeholders have the best possible chance to receive this funding, because it's an expensive project to get connected to the rest of the world. So we're hoping to have some good news very soon, and we're keeping an eye on that very closely. Now, next is opportunity zones. Once again, who here has heard qualified opportunity zones? A good chunk. Good. Well, for those who don't, I am about to sound very smart. So, qualified opportunity zones was a provision spearheaded by a gentleman named Shay Hawkins, who at our event last month, I got the pleasure of meeting, and some of you who were there got a chance to speak to. He was the driving force behind this provision. Not only did the 2017, Tax and Jobs Act open up a little thing we like to call the 1002, it also had this provision to provide investors with this incentive to invest in distressed communities. Now, a very, very, very short kind of rundown of what these are. This is Marie Durier's very two-sentence explanation of opportunity zones. Governors in their states were delegated with the task to select 25% of their landmass of what would be qualified as a distressed area. And if you saw the map earlier, the orange portion, sorry, let me go back, are what was selected. Now, what this zone does and what it kind of facilitates is that it provides this incentive to an investor that when they provide funding or invest in these distressed areas, they have a deferred payment on their investment. So it's this incentive to provide a long-term investment to each community, to each society, because we don't want investors to go in, be there 1 to 2 years, and then leave. Like, it's a long-term relationship. Now, and very quickly, the reason I wanted to bring up these two specific maps is when you look at them, what do they have in common? It's rural Alaska. It's these rural opportunities that we're talking about. It's these rural communities, and these are two projects, strong ideas that can bring immense growth to these rural opportunities. And at our event last month, what we ended the day on and every conversation on was a very forward-thinking statement, a very forward-thinking outlook, because it's a long-term conversation for these two topics. They're not going to be done by 1 or 2 people. They're not going to be done in 1 to 2 years. It's events like this, it's networking events like this that bring people together to where we can learn more about these things. Because with opportunity zones, everyone you talk to, it's kind of like we're trying to wrap our head around what it can do and the opportunities it'll provide, but we want to learn more. So that's what we're doing at ASRC. We want to learn more about them. We want to be the catalyst of broadband and what those what these capabilities can bring to our rural communities. And you'll hear more from a colleague of mine, Patu Glenn, about some of the cool things that are already happening within the Arctic slope of Alaska. So thank you for your time. I hope you kind of got a little inspiration here about these two projects, and I look forward to speaking with you more about these in the future.